Viewers, the nation is still coming to grips with the aftermath of one of the most inglorious chapters in our history. I'm saying this without exaggeration. Scores are dead. Several are battling for their lives. Many are injured. Families are destroyed. Relations are ruptured. And trust between communities has been completely eroded. Many are saying that hate was sowed and riots reaped as part of a planned and very well deliberated strategy. And viewers, they are saying that Delhi was ripe for a riot. There are three questions that come foremost to the mind, and we are going to explore all three today with some of those who are, very importantly, the bulwark of rational thinking in this country. We will be joined shortly by N. Ram, chairman of the Hindu group. Pavan Verma is here with us, senior leader of the JDU. Yogendra Yadav, national president of Swaraj India. Shekhar Iyer, senior journalist. Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, member of parliament and national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Subhrashtra, and author. I also will be introducing us to Ashutosh, political analyst and a senior journalist. And I want to explore three themes. How we got to this point, how do we repair this gaping wound in the secular body politic of our nation, and most importantly, where do we go from here? Can we hope optimistically for a less fraught future? I want to begin first with Yogendra ji. How did we get to this point, Yogendra ji?
Rahul, there couldn't have been a better explanation than you've already offered. Hate was sowed and riots were reaped. This has been in the work now for months, if not years. Here we have a situation where hate speech is made the norm. That kind of basic spreading of hate speech is made normal. We have political actors who are coming and openly inciting violence. We have a police which has been taught not to act. Should we be surprised that something like this happens? This is a moment for all Indians to hang their head in shame. Everyone, including me, every one of us should hang our head in shame at what happens in the national capital, and that too when we have a very significant foreign visitor. I may like him, I may dislike him, but the whole world was looking at us. And what a sorry picture of the country we have conveyed to the world. What a sorry picture that we have conveyed to our future, young people who are looking at the future of this country. I know there are theories of conspiracy, that Mr. Modi designed it. I don't think he would have, I don't think any ruler would want something like this to happen in the national capital when he has a visitor who he values. There are theories about Islamic conspiracy. It would be an odd conspiracy in which BJP cadres participate then. If this was an Islamic conspiracy, what was Kapil Mishra doing? We tend to blame very petty actors. We blame Kapil Mishra, of course he should be blamed. But tell me, why should we blame this poor fellow who's simply trying to follow career of path of upward political mobility in a party where he sees others making their career by doing exactly this? We blame Delhi police, but why do we blame these poor people on the ground when their leader, the Delhi police chief, is the kind of person he is? And why do we blame even Mr. Patnaik, the Delhi police chief, who has been given a clear direction from the top? To my mind, all this points to the very top. And sadly, the sad, shameful truth is those who occupy highest constitutional offices in this country are sowing seeds of hatred. That is what we should have the courage to speak about, and that is what needs redressal.
Opening remarks coming in from Yogendra ji. I want to bring you in, Shekhar Iyer Saab. You've written a piece recently. I read that piece. On this question, how did we get to this point?
Well, I think we did not realize that in the course of politics and politicking, when certain things are done and said, that how we spread this fear. And fear, as I've said before, is a lot of false things appearing as real. And today, of course, one cannot but agree entirely with what Yogendra ji says, but at the same time, it's not just about speeches by one particular party or one particular leader. I always held the manner in which the protests were held at Shaheen Bagh, we must admit, we must concede, led to the spread of Islamophobia. We cannot deny that. Just to think that just it happened because of one set of speeches happened, some of it was non-verbal. Where are those people who were flagging the constitution, waving the national flags? Why are they not being waved at Jafrabad? This goes to show, while some people may be showing their aggression by their utterly nonsensical speeches, hate speeches, but others are doing it in other ways. So we need to look at both these kind of activities, both these kind of behaviors which have contributed to the situation. Just to think that plain speeches by one side contributed to this is not the total reality. And this is an hour of appreciating the reality in its completeness.
Response coming in from Dr. Yogendra Yadav.
Very small, very small.
Yes, yes. Yes, go ahead.
Sir, I was one of those who were waving the tricolor. I was one of those holding the constitution. And for your benefit, I was one of those standing at Jafrabad when those protesters were blocking the road. And I was the one saying to them there in the midst of everything, when tear gas shells were being lobbed, when the situation was tense, I and my colleagues, several of them, Professor Apurva Anand, I can name many of them, we were there pleading with the protesters, please clear the road, don't stand here. And sir, I gave a speech which is on record saying that coming to the road is irresponsible, please don't do that, and as a friend, I oppose what you are doing. So please don't say these things unless you know the facts.
Can I respond?
Okay,
Rahul,
a quick
because
response.
This is not about Yogendra Yadav ji, but this is about those people who are behind those protests there. Yogendra Yadav ji is not organizing the protest.
1 second, I need to just step in. Look, I think the last thing we can do, and it'll be the greatest disservice, is if we get into, a quarrelsome argument.
I'm asking,
the media
Rahul,
is to blame.
I'm asking, Rahul, we must appreciate the entirety of the situation.
Look, as the media, we must accept responsibility. As a political class, we must respect responsibility. As citizens, to some extent, we must accept responsibility. Even the courts, I have to say, the pusillanimity of the courts, the selectiveness sometimes of the verdicts that come out are all creating an atmosphere. So we need to look at this holistically. On that point, I accept both sides are saying, and not sides, all participants I think will agree. But we must go away tonight feeling that we have at least understood what caused this. At least that much we should try to establish. If you don't learn from your mistakes, you're going to commit them again and again. So in that spirit, let's continue with this debate. I want to bring in Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi ji. Dr. Trivedi, the question I began was with how we got to this point where Hindus and Muslims attacked each other, where generation-long bonds of friendship, cooperation crumbled in such quick and devastating proportions. In such quick time and devastating proportions. Yes.
Yes. It is started because I will take up the clue with Sonia Gandhi's statement about Raj Dharma. When you were in Raj, your chief ministers were writing same thing. Ashok Gehlot writing to our government and your government that Hindus should be given citizenship. Tarun Gogoi writing that Hindus should be given citizenship. Your persons in the MHA Committee of Citizenship Amendment Act 2003 categorically writes on point number 9 in the committee chaired by Pranab Mukherjee ji that the majority community should not be given citizenship under the refugee status. When your Raj changes, your Dharma changes. And you forget the Rashtra Dharma and started playing mockery of the Raj Dharma. When there is a constitutional process, forget about what your party has said or chief minister has said. With due constitutional process, it is passed. Entire country has witnessed on both the houses and the parliament. Now, even after you are having some grievances, you can go to Supreme Court. There is 140 PILs there. But instead of waiting for that, you are instigating the mobs. You are provocating those things. Not even a single appeal in the last 1.5 months for peace and restraint. And then you say that one set of speeches are for this. I would just like to quote two things. Nobody is quoting. Sharjeel Imam is saying we want to permanently disconnect Assam, and Waris Pathan 15 crore or 100 crore, and he is hell-bent upon, I will not apologize. And on these two statements, you will say, hey, forget about that, what you are saying. I can say that what Kapil Mishra has said is been condemned by our party and the party president. Is still, what was the objectionable element? He has said that after Trump, we will take the law in his hand, which is wrong. But can it be compared with cutting the India and 15 crore or 100 crore, and an Aam Aadmi Party's corporator is having the tons of these acid bombs and other things on his roof, and then doing these things? So what I want to say on this issue, which is sensitive, all political parties should come up with the thing which should be for the communal harmony, rather than taking the advantage of the situation in their self-political interest. And even in the interest, there is a jawabi kawali.
Sir,
आम आदमी पार्टी, कांग्रेस, असदुद्दीन ओवैसी, सबको ये प्रूव करना है कि मैं कितना बड़ा तुम्हारा लंबरदार हूं. And this is the root cause of problem.
Let me make it very clear that hate speeches, we can't grade them. They have the same impact and the same effect on the ground. So, aimed at minorities or majorities, they will have the same effect. So, to say that one was less and we ticked off one and we did not tick off the other, sir, I'm sorry, but that doesn't cut it.
No, sir, Rahul.
No, one second, sir. Just 1 second.
No,
please.
Rahul, I want to respond. If there is a dozens of acid bombs,
sir,
and it is being virally shown in the throwing from there,
sir,
and there is one
6 politicians have made hate
Trump,
speeches.
Do this thing.
3 belong to.
But you cannot say.
1 second, sir. 3 belong to opposition parties. 3 belong to your party.
There is a in the law also.
And let me tell you, none of the 6 politicians. No, 1 second. None of the 6 politicians have gone to jail. Sharjeel Imam, I'm not defending him. He's not a politician, but he's in jail. A lady in Bidar, Karnataka, she's in jail. Sedition charges have been slapped against both of them. I'm not defending them. There is a law, it should be applied. Till there is a law, it will be applied. It's a different debate on whether we accept the sedition law, whether there should be criminal defamation. Those are all different questions. But I find it very strange that all the politicians who have made hate speeches are above the law, beyond the law. But others are languishing in jail. So there is something wrong there. There is something definitely wrong there. I'm just parking that thought for 30 seconds. The BJP says, look, political hypocrisy, partisanship, selectiveness aimed at playing vote bank politics, the abandonment of dharma during your period in Raj is a reason. So let me bring in Pawan Verma on that point. Is this one of those reasons, sir, that people have behaved irresponsibly, fear-mongered, etc., with an eye on their exclusive constituencies?
Rahul, thank you. Let me make 2 or 3 quick points. First of all, I strongly believe, and I'm very happy that you are carrying out this clinical dissection of what happened so it doesn't happen again. The people of India want to live in peace and harmony, coexist, get on with their lives, derive the benefits of the secular mainstream. They don't want endemic instability or insecurity in their lives. Yet we find that we have had a situation where in the capital of the Republic, during an important visit by President Donald Trump, we have had the capital in flames. Why has this happened? And why should it not happen again? First and foremost, Rahul, I completely agree with the point that in our condemnation there should be objectivity. In other words, if we rightly condemn Anurag Thakur, we must also condemn Waris Pathan. If we condemn Pravesh Verma, we must condemn Sharjul Iman. If we condemn
Amanatullah,
Kapil
whatever.
Mishra,
Yeah.
we must condemn the other side. In other words, all those who have contributed in inciting passion or inciting violence or creating a divide need to be condemned objectively by the sane mainstream of India. Thirdly, I believe that the responsibility lies squarely at the altar of politics. And politicians and political parties must take the blame. The genesis, in my view, for the current violence in Delhi lay in the Delhi elections. I am not for a moment condoning the provocations that were referred to, but I believe that an entire campaign was carried out by the ruling party with all its strength at its command, with those at the helm fully involved in creating an atmosphere where so much vitriol was poured into the electoral discourse. Such a great deal of incitement was provided to violence. We have the speeches on record that the entire election seemed to have been carried out not on the Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas platform, which was the cause of Mr. Narendra Modi's initial popularity, but on the basis of dividing the people so as to gain short-term electoral dividends by the majoritarian Hindu vote as against the Muslims. I believe such a campaign itself laid the foundation for what followed henceforth. And while I said I do not for a moment condone the speeches like that of Waris Pathan, I believe there must be due responsibility given to the fact that an entire election campaign in the capital of the country was carried out by the ruling party only on this basis. I think it created greatly to the incendiary atmosphere that followed subsequently, where lumpen mobs, and I want to ask, just flag one point, how many people came in from outside Delhi? Who pushed them into Delhi from UP? To what extent were they involved? And secondly, the question raised by Yoginder, why was the Delhi police so reticent to act when it could have? Why were orders not given? So when we derive the lessons for the future, we must take into account all these factors, and I reiterate that we must have more sane politics in this country, which is not based on hate, division and violence.
Subhrashtra wants to come in. Yes.
Yes. Rahul ji, I feel a seething rage inside me when I see the so-called intellectuals of this country coming here and trying to intellectually brainwash an entire campaign, which was the biggest fake news of this century. I mean, you have writers on your panel, you have amazing intellectuals from the political class on the panel. Has anybody till now, Rahul, and you and I have been advocating and asking them that, pray tell us which clause of the CAA had ever discriminated against any Indian Muslims. These are the same set of people, the same bloodthirsty hounds who sat on the roads, who ensured that Muslim women not just feel victimized, but victimized to such an extent that they lose their kid and call him a martyr. These are the guys who are responsible people who came on television channels, gave interviews after interviews, vitiated the entire atmosphere, painted CAA as a draconian law against Indian Muslims. These people should be put behind bars for spreading fake news. And these have the guts and the balls to come on national television and whitewash this entire campaign and make it into a Hindu-Muslim issue. I'm sorry to say, Rahul, the political bloodlust
let's just
will
tamp
go
down on the
years
language,
end,
please.
But
language, just please. Look, you know, let's not use adjectives
I'm
loosely.
sorry, but you know, Rahul.
We can't use words which are unparliamentary.
Let's
Please.
understand, Rahul, that as voters,
I understand.
Sure.
Look, everyone.
Sure.
We are angry.
Sure, Rahul.
Others are
Rahul,
emotional.
As voters,
I know
Rahul,
that.
as
I know
voters,
that sentiments
we don't
will.
go out to seek votes.
Okay, 1 second,
The
Subrashtra,
minimum
please.
that we
Just 30
expect
seconds.
people-
Look, you can make the same
minimum
point.
we expect politicians to do is.
You can make the same
Sure.
points, and we welcome everyone's. Look, everyone has a point of view. Some might be more strident, but let's not become unparliamentary. I request you, please. Let's not do that. Let's just keep this. You have great
then
points.
let
You're
me
making good points. Make them.
Okay, sure.
But let's not dip your pen, you know, in
in absolute. Sure, I agree.
in
I
poison.
agree.
Yeah. Paint a picture.
I agree.
Go
Let me
ahead.
put
Make
don
your
a
point.
sophisticated hat
Speak your mind.
and ask these people. Yes. Let
Please.
me don a sophisticated hat and ask some pressing questions. Did you see any of these politicians take the center stage and tell the people, tell the Muslim women who were sitting there in the, you know, in that absolute cold of Delhi, that look, the maps that you are using are not, you know, are not the government of India maps. They don't have Aksai Chin. They don't have Pak-occupied Kashmir. By doing this, you are giving a blatant platform to, you know, people like Sharjeel Imam. Now paying lip service condemnation to Sharjeel Imam is not going to do anything, Rahul. Lives have been lost. Ratan Lal has been killed, and look at the way in which these people came to your channel and have been talking about the, you know, the mistrust that people enjoy. I mean, this is the same logic which has ensured that Ratan Lal is survived by just, you know, by 3 kids. Look at their faces. These are the same people who have, in short, intellectually justified the violence meted out on Aman Sharma. These are the same people who have been going on and justifying this kind of anti-CAA mindless protest without any differentiation of any sort. I mean, these people have been in you know, members of parliament. There have been members of parliament on your channel, Rahul.
So you're saying there has been
a committee of this nature. Tell us what anti-CAA protest was about.
Okay, so you're saying there has been an
question.
organized
Which clause
attempt
of anti-CAA makes Indian Muslims feel discriminated?
Fair enough. Subrashtra, what you're saying is that there has been an organized attempt at trying to
so disorganized,
instigate one community with a degree of perhaps not being economical.
Insecurity.
Okay, and they're being economical with the truth. Okay, so that's one point of view. That's one point of view. I'll get everyone to respond. For just about 7-8 minutes, I want to speak to also Mr. N. Ram, chairman of the Hindu group. He's joined our broadcast. Mr. Ram, I want to ask you, you know, we're asking some questions tonight. And we're asking these questions so that we don't repeat the mistakes of history. Unfortunately, some of the responses are sounding so standard because it's the same basic and unfortunately most predictable causes for this riot also. So it seems as if we never move forward. We never learn. But nonetheless, the lessons need to be relearned and they need to be therefore repeated. So Mr. Enram, I want to ask you, how did we get to the point where we behave like animals, where humanity was murdered? How did we get to this point, sir?
Yes, there are 2 immediate reasons. One is to see this as a Hindu-Muslim issue, which it should not be. And secondly, attacking the protests and the brutal response to the anti-CAA, it's not just CAA, that's important. NPR stares you in the face. It's going to start on April 1st, and there are apprehensions that NPR is the basis for the NRC countrywide, because they've been economical with the truth. Those just speak about the defending CAA. So don't attack the anti-CAA, anti-NRC, anti-NPR protests. Deal with it democratically. Understand what the issues are. what the apprehensions are, not just among Muslims, but those who value the Constitution, the fundamental rights guaranteed in the Constitution, the values of the core values of liberty, equality, and fraternity. That's one. Secondly, don't overplay the divisiveness behind this violence. It doesn't matter who is attacked. Of course, awful things have happened on both sides. I'll be very restrained in coming out with the details, as all of us must be, particularly in the media. It's a well-known convention that when a riot breaks out on this violence involving two or more communities, you don't point the finger of blame at one or the other, and that I think has to be practiced. And what I just heard doesn't seem to comply with that, some of this. So I think what is behind there's a pattern to this. There was intelligence failure. I would say there was a big failure on the part of the police, and going back to deeper responsibility, the Union Home Ministry. But let's not go into all those details right now. The situation has to be brought under control. It's not yet completely normal. I saw the scenes on television, the devastation, the people fleeing from their places and so on. All this must be quickly repaired. And the formation of the peace committees and so on, that's a very good step.
So how do we repair this? How do we repair relations, Mr. Enram?
You don't do things like transferring a judge who's hearing this case overnight. Although the decision was taken by the collegium, the abrupt transfer overnight when a bench was hearing the case of the judge, that sort of thing should be avoided. It sends the wrong message. And so what you need to do is go after those who have committed serious offenses, murder, arson, looting, file FIRs on an impartial basis. The people who made hate speeches, starting with Kapil Mishra, but whoever else was involved, the law must take its course. And don't delay it too much, saying this is not the time to file an FIR. FIR is only a first information report. So filing an FIR is only filing a complaint to the police. So do that impartially without fear or favor. And then if you don't want to inflame emotions and so on, do it as quietly as you can. That's the first step. And then the top leaders must appeal, not make the kind of statements that, one-sided attacks on the anti-CAA protests, say, as though they are to blame for everything. In fact, the women at Shaheen Bagh, remarkably disciplined, remarkably peaceful. And so I think this is the way to go, and make sure it doesn't spread to other areas by taking preventive measures and so on. That's I think even Rajnikant, who earlier came out in support of the CAA and even NPR, not NRC, has condemned the handling of this violence by the Union Home Ministry and used very strong language and so on, because they suggesting you should suppress the violence immediately. You didn't react in time. I'm not just echoing what he said, but people like that have been outraged. And I think the time has come to bring the situation under control and not let it slip further out of control. And I think it can be done. We've got plenty of experiences from the past. We've got people with a lot of wisdom, statesmanship. They should exercise their influence and see that the situation returns to normal in Northeast Delhi, and also doesn't, as important, doesn't spread anywhere else.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Mr. Enram. Let me go back to the panel now. Thank you for taking the time out. Ashutosh ji, the same question goes out to you. How did we get here?
Rahul, I think this is the time for the plain and simple speaking. I think the time for the sophistication with nuanced arguments and subtle discourse, I think that is over. What is staring at our face is something which is very, very ugly. The fact is, when riot happens in Delhi, and for 48 hours, the state ceased to exist. The basic protocol which was to be implemented was not followed. Like just ordering curfew, like shoot at sight. And when to control riot, 3 hours the riot was controlled. I fail to understand. The same police, same department could not control riot for 48 hours and was 3 hours. It was unfortunate situation that the Supreme Court has to enter. Supreme Court has to send interlocutor. I dread to say this, but somehow I feel there is a state-sponsored hatred.
Okay.
This has to be curbed. This has
Dr.
to be
Sudhanshu
told.
Trivedi,
this has to be said ruthlessly.
Let me ask you the question then.
Frankly.
Can distrust be overcome? Can wounds be healed if the state doesn't work overtime without selectivity to atone in some ways, uphold justice, deliver it, ensure that people are equally punished, ensure that heads roll in those circles that have failed the people? Simple question.
Rahul, I would answer point by point what Ashutosh ji and Ram has said. Ashutosh ji has said, quoted 1948 letter, that it was the atmosphere of hate which has killed Mahatma Gandhi. I want to answer, put a question. Who created the hate atmosphere? Muslim League or the Congress? If you want to say that Muhammad Ali Jinnah has not created a hate atmosphere, that was the peak of hate atmosphere. This type of thing, then a selectivity. And Ramji has said, an abrupt transfer of the judge. The transfer was duly approved by Collegium on 12th of February. Due consent was given by that Chief Justice in which High Court is going. And the judge incumbent himself has given the consent. And the transfer order executed on 27th of February after 15 days. It should be called a delay rather than abrupt. Now, the third point. They say that anti-CA protesters should not be victimized on other things. And what about the pro-CA protesters? Somebody killed in Lohardaga and 2 people killed in Murshidabad. That is not a killing. This is a soothing song of secularism in which the voice of those who killed in Murshidabad or Lohardaga should not be heard, or it is an elitist mindset that anything happening in Delhi is a national value and happening in a far-flung area of nothing of this sort. Fourth point, why government has not come to engage? I would like to ask. There were several incidences of the various movements in the history, but in every movement there was a representative, there was a pinpointed point. In Anna movement, there was a team of representative. Kejriwal ji was coordinator. Till now, he calls himself a coordinator. And there was a demand on this is corruption issue. This action should be taken. In Ram Mandir movement, there was a Babri Masjid Action Committee and Ram Janmabhoomi Committee. There was a clear categorical demand. In the Jaipur movement, there was a clear categorical demand. Even during the freedom movement, in the Waival plan, there was a demand that should not be talked with Muslim League, there should be talked with the Congress. In the Simon Commission, there was a demand that there should be an Indian representative. In the Rolette Act, there was a demand that cannot be a provision of prosecuting without putting jail without prosecution. But here, where is the demand? Where is the representative? As Shubhrasta has said, because nobody can put even a single word
Rahul,
which
I want to respond.
Relates to Indian citizenship. You cannot talk
Rahul,
in chaos.
Yes.
Please.
You can talk to the substance, you can talk
everybody,
to the person, you can talk to the institution. But anything of the chaos, you cannot talk. It is a very peculiar, because ये संयोग नहीं या प्रयोग था, इसलिए इस तरह की बात हो रही है.
Okay, Ashutosh, since he was addressing you, right to respond very quickly.
Rahul.
After that, I'll open it up. Yes.
Rahul, Sudhanshu Trivedi unfortunately has not read the letter which Sardar Patel has sent to Golwalkar. Sardar Patel in that letter very categorically talks about RSS, that how RSS people are good people when it comes to helping Hindus. But when it comes to the Muslims, they spread venom and hatred. And they have also written in that letter, when Gandhi was killed, then it was, I got to know that the sweets were distributed and people rejoiced, RSS people rejoiced. This was the exact letter I'm quoting. So let's not go to the Congress and the Jinnah in that letter. So but I was surprised that Sudhanshu Trivedi has not read that letter. So the point number 2, since it is the responsibility of the government to engage with the people in whatever manner it was possible. Did central government ever try to tell these Shaheen Bagh people that why don't you come why don't you send your representative of 10, 20, 30 peoples? If Shaheen Bagh had not responded, then I would have blamed Shaheen Bagh for
that was the inherent problem. Even the Supreme Court conceded it. That they tried something out of the box, it failed because, you know, in every mediation, sir, you need to have an outcome, you need to have clearly defined goals, you need to have people who you can speak to who also enjoy the mandate of those on whose behalf they are negotiating. Now, there was a problem here. So it has failed. Whether you say the government, at least the state tried, at least, you know, the Supreme Court appointed interlocutors, so at the end of the day it failed. Now we can go into the reasons why, but I just want to once again quickly open this up. Pawan Verma and Yogendra Yadav in that order, because you raised your hands in that order. Yes, go ahead, Pawan Verma.
I've been raising my hands since a long time.
I want to say,
coming to you,
the right to dissent and protest is a sacrosanct right. Guaranteed by the Constitution. I may not agree with the pro-CAA protesters, but I believe they have the right to put their point of view, and any violence against them is equally condemnable, if not more. Similarly, if there are people who believe that the CAA as a bill which discriminates on grounds of religion in the granting of citizenship is discriminatory, and who believe that the CAA as outlined initially to be in combo with the NPR and the NRC, and specifically the NRC, will lead to a great deal of hardship, where people will have to provide proof of their citizenship, which they may not be able to do. If there are people in this country who believe that this is a wrong step and is a divisive step, they have the right to protest. Now, to demonize those who are protesting by calling them entirely puppets in the hands of professional provocateurs, or to say that they are entirely from one community, is far from the truth. There are people from all communities on a pan-Indian scale across this country who have been protesting against the CAA NRC. So let's not make a binary of black and white. And to say that because those protests are wrong, therefore the violence that they provoked is right. It's a completely perverted logic.
Very quickly, Yogendra Yadav ji.
Number one, I'm surprised Sudhanshu ji doesn't know what the demands of the movement are. On this, there is complete unanimity, Sudhanshu ji. Number one, repeal SCAA. Number 2, stall NPR. Number 3, officially notify that NRC is not being implemented throughout the country. Very simple demands. Everyone agrees with this, Sudhanshu ji. I don't know why you're confused. Yes, there is no one official body, but the Home Minister of this country had invited people to come and speak to him. We, on behalf of a banner called We the People of India, a coalition of more than 100 anti-CAA organizations, had written to him 2 weeks ago requesting for an appointment. 1 week later, they said clarify the issues. We clarified the issues and exactly the things I'm telling you about. It's 1 more week, no answer, no appointment, no date. I think we should be careful about 2 bad forms of reasoning. One is an equivalence. Hindus have goons, Muslims have goons, so all of them have done it. Of course all of them have done it. Of course both of them have goons. But one set of goons are being backed by police, others are not. Waris Khan is diabolic, of course he's diabolic. So is Kapil Mishra. But Waris Khan is made to apologize. Everyone in the anti-CAA movement condemns him, distances from him. Is that true about Kapil Mishra? Is that true about Anurag Thakur? Is that true about, can we name Amit Shah? And the other moral diabolic argument that is being presented, we should be very careful about. You first create a law that discriminates against one section of society. They protest peacefully. You incite violence against them. Then violence takes place. And then you blame the victim and say, you've started violence. You incited violence. I mean, this is diabolic set of reasoning. Please don't do that. And my one final appeal, Rahul, we are on national television. And those people who are not capable of speaking as one should speak on national television, they should probably be screened out. Isn't that?
Yeah, I made that point about minding language, and that
I'm really sorry, Rahul.
and that was well made and also accepted. So that's the end of that. Yes, Subhrashtra, you want to respond, and then Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi. Yes.
Yes. I will respond to Mr. Yogendra Yadav and Pawan Verma, but let me also tell him that he should not don this tiara of a certifying agency as to how one should speak on national television. If he feels he's being hounded from everywhere, he should stop coming on national television.
I felt that certain lines were crossed. Forget about other people's sensibilities. The moderator of this discussion felt that the line was crossed, and that's why I stepped in.
I did listen to you.
Okay, yes, you did, and let's move on now. Yeah,
which is why I also changed my flavor, and I'm not. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Moving on. Look at the language and the kind of reiteration that Yogendra Yadav did again. He basically justified violence against the police by saying that the police was complicit with certain kinds of forces that indulged in rioting. Let us not forget, Rahul, that the same banner, We the People, that he has hailed again on your channel, on your panel right now is, I mean, I have documentary evidence to prove that the kind of symbols that We the People banner has used as a backdrop on, using India's map is totally seditious. It's absolutely backed by forces that are breaking India forces. Number two, there was this whole, brouhaha made about Hindus are also protesting against the CA. Let me tell you, if they want to resort to this Hindu-Muslim question, which Pawan Verma did,
that evidence
let me tell
here
him
on
that
the
people
stage,
like Javed
on
Akhtar
television,
did not even come out once. Did not come out even once to say that Tahir Hussain is at fault. Instead, you look at the language that he used for Tahir Hussain. So please, Rahul, let us not forget that these people who have used verbal chickenry all their life to whitewash their intellectual crime against justifying a certain set of rioting ideology are the people who won't be spared verbally by people now. They have ensured that the, Swara Bhaskars of the world who are being retweeted by the same people, please let me make this point, has openly called out residents of Delhi to hit the streets. These people do not have the moral authority to come and preach to ordinary citizens like us on the kind of language to be used. I may listen
Let
to
me
you,
get a
Rahul,
response from Yogendra Yadav. Let me get a response from him to what you have said. Again, I am. बस सर अभी आ रहे हैं अभी उनको रिस्पॉन्ड करने दीजिए
abusive language, forget it.
सर रिस्पॉन्ड करने दीजिए सर रिस्पॉन्ड करने दीजिए डॉक्टर देखिए 6 पैनलिस्ट हैं सर 6 पैनलिस्ट हैं 1 minute please now let's not speak over each other we are running out of time
Rahul,
1 minute let the response come
in order to save time.
I can't have a discussion among 6 people and not give everyone time. So I can do a 2-hour discussion and everyone will get time.
Please keep it in your lap. I will focus on the real thing.
Yeah, just quickly respond, Yogendra Yadav, and then Dr.
I would not respond to her abusive language because that's वो आपकी गालियाँ आपको मुबारक हों. I will respond to one serious fact that she mentioned. She says, "We the people of India" banner is backed by
Subhrashtra ji, we've heard you. You haven't abused anyone. Okay, he's heard you. Now let's move on. Let's move on, please. I don't want again this kind of discussion. Please. Let him finish his...
Don't laugh like that, Mr. Yogendra Yadav.
Yeah.
Don't laugh like that. You want to...
Dekhiye, I'm running out of time. What is the point of ending on a quarrelsome note? We began on a promising note. We were getting somewhere. We've heard everyone's point of view. Up to let's not vitiate. Please. Now let's relax. Come on. Please. Yogendra Yadav, respond please to the points now. And I want Dr. Trivedi to come in last. Yes, please.
Yeah. one quick thing. If there is any evidence of we, the people of India, indulging in anything anti-national, please do share it with everyone in the world on this television channel. Okay. Publish it tomorrow. Please go out public. You would be doing national service.
Okay.
Number two, I think the only way forward is to think of ways in which everyone who has perpetrated these crimes, from whichever community, from whichever banner, pro-CA, anti-CA, anyone who spouts hatred should be booked.
Okay.
Anyone from any party, BJP, booked. Congress, my party, any party who is indulged in violence, have case, book against them, punish them.
The problem comes when the intellectual stalwarts like Yogendra Yadav ji try to put a confusing remark. Sir, I respond point by point. NRC, Government of India on the floor of the House has said there is no draft of NRC up till now. NPR, which was there in vogue from Chidambaram's time in 2010, with a great grandeur. Third thing, on CAA, there should be an objective statement which clause should be revealed. If you want that repeal entire CAA, it means 140 PILs which are there in the Supreme Court, the protesters trying to put their jurisprudence over and above the entire parliament, over and above the entire Supreme Court. And you people like trying to support them. And lastly, on the issue of peaceful protest, yes, of course, everybody is having right. But जामिया मिलिया के पहले दिन जिसके हाथ में बम फटा था, कंट्री मेड बम, रईस से लेके ताहिर हुसैन के छत पे रखे हुए बमों के जखीरे तक आपको पीसफुल प्रोटेस्ट नजर आता है, एंड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट नजर आता है कंट्री को अलग करने को. सो दैट्स व्हाई आई वांट टू से, इफ सच साइट ऑफ मायोपिक, प्रेजुडिस्ड, intellectual discourse is there to back those people who are not able capacity to 90% of them are not having capacity to read and understand in Hindi and English the 50-page document, then the problem arises. 3
takeaways from this discussion. I don't think there is any doubt that most people say that the state has failed in its basic duties. Now we can go about taking this forward by suggesting that the reason is X or Y. There is also very little doubt that hate speech has contributed to it. And lastly, there is very little doubt that whether we like it or not, false equivalences have been drawn. So very quickly, sir, your
my thoughts tonight, Rahul, after hearing everyone is, we have to understand and appreciate the gravity of the situation. That is one. Two, if we truly believe in constitutional ways of settling issues, we must wait for the Supreme Court to decide on the law. And street protests cannot replace debate in Parliament. And once a law has been passed by Parliament, there is a provision for the Supreme Court to take the final call. 2. 3, we need to have strong institutional mechanism. Yes. The Delhi police should not be waiting for instruction here and there or from the top to do what should have been done on Sunday night itself.
We leave it at that. We are next going to focus on the role of the media and civil society also. So this debate will continue on those aspects. We've analyzed state, we've analyzed the role of the political class. For another debate, we look at the media and civil society. No one will be spared and in any way an examination. We will leave it at that. Thank you very much.